Hello, this is Rashad Mitchell coming to you live from my YouTube channel as I continue on my part series, The Week That Was College Football History Review, the 1964 college football season. This the 1964 bowl games that we'll be going over the 1964 bowl season, so let's get into it. The Liberty Bowl on December 19th, 1964, Utah beat West Virginia 32-6. For those who think Houston's Astrodome hosted first indoor bowl game, think again, because hard-packed grass field inside Atlantic City's convention hall served as site for Utah around over West Virginia, one of several games during college football history played in indoor temporary sites. Utes and Roy Jefferson separated his shoulder in second quarter, but he toughed it out and caught passes for 46 yards. Utah jumped to a 25-0 lead on kicker Jefferson's two field goals. Quarterback Pokey Allen's 11-yard touchdown run behind block of fullback Alan Jacobs and long-distance dashes by halfbacks Ron Coleman and Andy Ireland. Outdistanced 466 yards to 228 yards, Mountaineers enjoyed measure of brief glory in third quarter, and quarterback Alan McCoon capped 67-yard drive with 6-yard touchdown pass to end Milt Clegg. In the Blue Bonnet Bowl on December 1964, Tulsa beat Mississippi 14-7. Quarterback Jerry Rome, season-long aerial ace for Tulsa, was busy ball handler, participated in 58 offensive plays. Mississippi scored first, going 54 yards after the second quarter punt. Key game was quarterback Jim Weatherly's 30-yard pass to fullback Frank Kennard. Tailback Mike Dennis then ran twice for 10 yards. Weatherly sneaked over for Rebels. Not normally considered much of a runner, Rome lugged it 25 yards. The middle of 72-yard second quarter touchdown march, then wedged over from 1 yard to tie game on 7-7. Defensive lineman Willie Towns wreaked havoc in Ole Miss backfield rest of drizzly afternoon in Houston. And Tulsa softened the Rebels' defense with runs of tailback Bob Daugherty. Winning Tulsa touchdown came in 4 quick surges. Rome ran for 14 yards, found halfback Brent Roberts for 10 yards, Daugherty for 35 yards, and Eddie Fletcher for 35-yard touchdown. In the Sun Bowl on December 26, 1964, Georgia beat Texas Tech 7-0. Texas Tech, featuring All-American halfback Donnie Anderson, supplied Sun Bowl with traditional Texas-based host team versus underrated Georgia, which closed with 4 wins in last 5 regular season games. The story of this game was Bulldogs' defense that was spearheaded by guard Joe Darden, as it limited Anderson to 19 yards rushing on 7 carries, prevented any first downs except one, earned a 15-yard penalty until well into fourth quarter. The contest's only score came as a result of a 52-yard swing pass from Georgia quarterback Preston Riddle Huber to halfback Fred Barber, who dashed to the 6-yard line before pulling his hamstring. Fullback Frank Linkowitz slammed over 3 plays later, so Red Raiders drove to Georgia at the 17-yard line in the fourth quarter but lost the ball on downs. They immediately grabbed full recovery, but quarterback Tom Wilson's pass was intercepted by Georgia defensive lineman Vance Evans. In the Sugar Bowl, Louisiana State beat Syracuse 13-10. Every kind of scoring was realized in an odd defensive-oriented game. Although stumping runs of fullback Jim Nance, halfback Floyd Little, and quarterback turned halfback Wally Mall provided early spark for Syracuse, its secondary weakness ultimately proved fatal because Orangemen scored early on kicker Roger Smith's 22-yard field goal, but moments later LSU shaved it to 3-2 as punter Gerald Brown's punt was down at 2-yard line and Little was caught in the end zone on a sweep by Tigers fast prowling defensive tackle named George Rice. Syracuse went up 10-2 when defensive lineman Dennis Riley slammed Bengals punter Brown before the latter could get his kick away. Orange defensive lineman Brad Clark snared a loose ball, ran untouched for a 28-yard touchdown. Although LSU receivers were frequently open, it took until third quarter for quarterback Billy Ezel to hit wide receiver Doug Moreau for 57-yard touchdown bomb and Ezel's 2-point pass to halfback Joe LaBruzzo tied it at 10-10. LaBruzzo broke away for a 36-yard catch on quarterback Pat Sweeney's pass in the fourth quarter. Syracuse defense held at its 11-yard line, but MVP kicker Moreau wooded a game-winning 28-yard field goal. In the Cotton Bowl, Arkansas beat Nebraska 10-7. Arkansas fulfilled its greatest undefeated hope, matching its lightning-quick defensive strength with mammoths of Nebraska in evenly played contest. The Hawks scored in the first quarter on kicker Tom Nelly 31-yard field goal. Nebraska's blended power runs of halfback Harry Little Royce Wilson with darting draw runs of Little fullback Frank Solich. The short passes of quarterback Bob Churches. Now Wilson got 84 yards rushing, set up own 1 yard touchdown run in the second quarter with 36 yards catch and a 10-yard run. Wilson dashed 45 yards in the fourth quarter, but it was then in their own territory that Razorbacks defensive stars like linebacker Ronnie Caveness and tackles Jim Williams and Lloyd Phillips made their stance, so Nebraska protected its tenuous 7-3 lead by punting into end zone. Arkansas quarterback Fred Marshall, who was up 2 earlier fumbles and pressured throughout the gloomy day in Dallas, completed passes of 12, 11, 10, and 28 yards, respectively, added twisting 10-yard scramble to the Huskers' 33-yard line. He then hit wingback Jim Lindsey for a 28 yards to 5-yard line, allowing tailback Bobby Burnett to score a game-winning touchdown from 3 yards with 4:41 left. Arkansas earned a share of the national title. In the Rose Bowl, Michigan beat Oregon State 34-7. After the flap over AAW snubbing Southern California had died down, Oregon State attempted to get down to business as 2-touchdown underdog against official Big Ten champion Michigan, loses only by a single point to Purdue. Beavers struck early in the second quarter. After an unusual bit of tragedy, Oregon State coach Larry Purcell, who employed usual practice of calling his plays from press box, sent in punter Lynn Freitich back to punt on second down from his 18-yard line. Wolverines were tagged with a 15-yard penalty, so Beavers turned from conservatives to attackers, going 84 yards in 10 plays as quarterback Paul Brothers completed 6 passes in a row. So Brothers' last completion went to end Doug McDougal for a 5-yard touchdown and 7-0 lead, 2:27 into the second quarter. Midway in the second quarter, Michigan fullback Mel Anthony, who carried 13 times for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns, swung around for his right end, got key blocks from halfback Carl Ward and end John Henderson, and charged unmolested for an 84-yard touchdown, longest to date in Rose Bowl history. Halfback Ward raced 43 yards to another Wolverines touchdown before end of second quarter, but Beavers managed to hold halftime score within reason at 12-7. Wolverines defense led by defensive linemen Bill Yearby and Bill Lasky completely shut down Oregon State in the second half, as Beavers gained but 64 yards rushing all day. Big play of second half came in middle of the third quarter from Michigan sub guard Bill Melke, who blocked punt by Oregon State punter Freitich, and Anthony recovered at the 15-yard line. So Anthony drove for a 1-yard touchdown 5 plays later and added a 7-yard score later in the third quarter for a 27-7 Michigan lead. In the Gator Bowl on January 2nd, Florida State beat Oklahoma 36-19. An away game was over before it started for Oklahoma, as 4 key offensive players were ruled ineligible for having signed undated pro contracts, like tackle Ralph Neely, halfback Lance Rensel, fullback Jim Grissom, and sub-end Russ Skidrow. This was symptomatic of escalating NFL-AFL bidding wars. NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle promised an investigation, but this early signing problem never really evaporated until the Common Draft was instituted after pro football's 2 leagues agreed to merge in 1966. Sooners' defense was intact. The Florida State quarterback Steve Tensley quickly tended to its dissection. Although Tensley suffered first of his 4 interceptions on his opening attempt, tall Seminole quarterback passed for 303 yards on 23 of 36 passing for 5 touchdowns. Tensley's aerial mate, wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff, had a spectacular game by catching 13 passes for 192 yards receiving, scored 4 touchdowns receiving. Game was close in the first quarter. Seminoles defensive back Howard Eller steamed 69 yards with interception touchdown return Oklahoma fullback John Kennedy plunged over to cut FSU's lead to 7-6, despite Seminoles' aerial heroics. Longest pass belonged to Sooners combination of sub-quarterback Bernie Fletcher and end Ben Hart, who collaborated on a 95-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter. Game began with pro signings and ended the same way, as Fred Biletnikoff soon to launch a terrific career in the pros. And pro football was inked by Al Davis of Oakland Raiders under the goalpost at game's conclusion. So that clues look at that. Yeah, Fred Biletnikoff had a big game. Fred Biletnikoff had 13 catches for 192 yards and 4 touchdowns. All right, the game of the year for the 1964 season, save the best for last. The game of the year for the 1964 college football season was in the Orange Bowl between Texas and Alabama, as Texas beat Alabama 21-17. Extra excitement was in the air as Orange Bowl launched new TV era primetime night game. It turned out to be a true thriller, with his pen poised to sign fabulously lucrative New York Jets contract next day. Alabama quarterback Joe Namath struck off gimpy knee and several drop passes to stage dramatic passing display. 18 of 37 for 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, which earned MVP honors in relief. Well, quarterback Steve Sloan. Despite his colossal effort, Namath's Crimson Tide fell just short of victory, and some people thought they were robbed. Throwing early haymakers, Texas did all its damage in the first half. Tailback Ernie Coy made masterful 79-yard touchdown run in the first quarter, using guard Lee Hensley's midway block to set Orange Bowl long-distance run record to that point in history. Crimson Tide cashed starting quarterback Sloan's 41-yard pass to halfback Ray Ogden to move 64 yards to 7-yard line, but they missed a short field goal. The Longhorns struck again as quarterback Jim Hudson, Earl, and George Sauer both would become future New York Jet teammates of Joe Namath, connected on a 69-yard touchdown pass. The score at 14-0 in favor of Texas. Namath came off bench in his unique white shoes to become by far the most vivid figure in the stadium, according to Allison Danzig of the New York Times. Namath completed 6 passes for 181 yards on an 87-yard drive, dotting it with 70-yard touchdown to halfback Wayne Trimble. Texas got its next score thanks to lucky break. Alabama blocked Longhorns field goal try, but turned possession right back to Texas in its frenzied desire to advance the ball. Steers in Pete Lamons, another future Jet, recovered at Bama 38-yard line. Texas had a new set of downs after Tide penalty moved ball to 13-yard line. Coy blasted for touchdown into 2 plays with only 27 seconds left, showing on the first half clock. Texas never crossed midfield in the second half, relying on punter Coy's wing punts to stay out of trouble. But Namath took center stage, moving Alabama 63 yards to end Ray Perkins' 20-yard touchdown catch. Early in the fourth quarter, Bama halfback kicker David Ray kicked the 26-yard field goal to narrow the deficit to 21-17. Linebacker Jim Fuller's interception at Texas' 34-yard line gave Tide a big chance for win. Namath quickly pitched them to 3-yard line. Fullback Steve Bowman's 2 smashes left Tide just short of end zone. Namath tried 4th down sneak, only to be halted inches short by guard Tommy Curry's submarine and linebacker Tommy Nobis hole-filling tackle. I'll go to my grave knowing I scored a touchdown on that play, Joe Namath later said. NBC's primetime telecast attracted 40 million viewers and changed the course of television sports. It became acceptable for football to fill 8 to 12 hours of programming, the game becoming especially appealing to advertisers wishing to reach larger nighttime audiences. Before long, ABC would launch NFL Monday Night Football. Super Bowl would be scheduled for early evening in Eastern time zone. And Major League Baseball eventually would play all its World Series and league championship games in TV's primetime. Yet, it took college football's primetime thriller to start it off. So concludes look at the 1964 college football season as a whole. The bowl season is over. Now we look at the 1964 top performance formula. Number 1 was Arkansas. The 1964 top opponents record. Number 1 was Alabama. The outer conference records for 1964. The best record was the Western Conference. The Western Athletic Conference had a 36-4 record and 1-0 in a bowl game. Individual statistical leaders for 1964. Brian Piccolo led the nation in rushing attempts 252. 1,044 rushing yards, average 4.1 average per game, rushing the ball. Passing yards, Jerry Rome of Tulsa, the quarterback, completed 224 passes for completions through 326 attempts passing for 2,870 yards and had a 68.7 percentage. Receiving yards, Howard Twilley of Tulsa, 95 catches for 1,178 yards. So got the All-American 1964 consensus All-American team. At end, Jack Snow, Notre Dame, Fred Bilenkoff, Florida State, tackle Larry Kramer, Nebraska, Ralph Neely, Oklahoma, guard Rick Redmond of Washington, Glenn Wessler, Penn State, center Dick Butkus of Illinois, the backfield, John Hewitt, Notre Dame, Gail Sayers, Kansas, Thomas Elkins, Baylor, Tucker Frederickson, Auburn. On the defensive side, you had that's his defensive side. Anyway, the other All-American choices, rather, we changed that. The All-American choices, whether on defense or offense or not. You had at end, Howard Wells of Purdue, Allen Brown, Mississippi, Alphonse Dotson, Grambling, Al Atkinson, Villanova, Ray Riss Miller, Georgia, tackles, Steve Malone, Tennessee, Jim Wilson, Georgia, Bill Yilby, Michigan, Dan Keeley, Alabama, John Van Sicklen, Iowa State, Remy Prude, home, Louisiana State, Stas Malazewski, Princeton, Jim Davidson, Ohio State, Harry Shue, Michigan State, the guards, Tommy Hanobis, Texas, Ronnie Cavaness, Arkansas, Bill Fitz, Southern California, Wayne Freeman, Alabama, Carl McAdams, Oklahoma, Jack O'Bilovich, Oregon State, Don Krofcheck, Indiana, and Jim Carroll, Notre Dame. Centers, Dwight Kelly, Ohio State, Pat Kaloran, Syracuse, Malcolm Walker, Rice. The backfield had Jerry Rome at Tulsa, Craig Morton, California, Jim Grabowski, Illinois, Clarence Williams, Washington State, Donnie Anderson, Texas Tech, Cosmo Ikavasi, Princeton, Bob Perry, Oregon, Larry Dupree, Florida, Tom Wawatsky, Indiana, Floyd Little, Syracuse, Bob Schweikert, Virginia Tech, Bob Timberlake, Michigan, Arnold Chanko, Ohio State, Carl Noonan, Iowa, Mike Garrett, Southern California, Roy Jefferson, Utah, George Donnelly, Illinois, Jerry Bussell of Georgia Tech. 1964 Heisman Trophy vote. John Hewitt, senior quarterback of Notre Dame, won the Heisman Trophy in 1964 with 1,026 votes. Followed by second place was Jerry Rome, senior quarterback Tulsa, with 952 votes. Dick Butkus, senior center linebacker of Illinois, had 505 votes. Bob Timberlake, senior quarterback of Michigan, had 361 votes. And Jack Snow, senior end of Notre Dame, had 187 votes. Other major award winners for 1964, Glenn Wessler, senior guard, Penn State, won the Max Bell Player of the Year award. The Oakland Outland Lineman Trophy of the Year with Steve DeLong, senior guard, Tennessee. Newt Rodney Lineman of the Year, Dick Butkus, senior linebacker, Illinois. Walter Camp Back Award, Jerry Rome, senior quarterback of Tulsa. And two head coaches won the AFCA Coaches of the Year, with Frank Boyers of Arkansas and Eric Pasegan of Notre Dame. So that concludes a look at the 1964 season as a whole. It's over with. Tomorrow we're talking about the 1965 college football season and the overview of the 1965 college football season, and we'll go over the games that were played during week 1 of the 1965 college football season. So if you like, subscribe to the channel, do what you can to support this channel. It's yours truly, Rashad Mitchell. Until then, talk to you tomorrow.